Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for joining this month's webinar. Um, I am Ganesh. I'm CEO and co-founder from the myLIBRO team. And I have some of the great leaders today, like Greg from Iowa State University, as well as Virginia from our team. She's leading the customer success side. So we three will be sharing, some items which we are learning, what we are hearing. We are also doing a lot of surveys, talking to various different, students and the, higher ed educate libraries. So we'll share a lot of insights, and we'll also show some high level product, myLIBRO, what's myLIBRO and how it could help, and what's happening overall in the industry in terms of pandemic, digital, a lot of online. So what's happening at a very high level? That's kind of what we'll do. We will do a quick round of introduction. Greg, if you could introduce yourself, please.
Hello, everybody. My name is Greg Davis. I am the Assistant Director for Assessment and Planning at Iowa State University's library. And we've been working with the Libro project for a couple years now. So looking forward to talking about it today and hearing questions people might have.
Awesome. Thank you, Greg. Virginia?
Hi, I'm Virginia Hunt, and like Ganesh said, I'm with the customer success side on Libro, so I'll be talking a little bit more in depth on the product and just going over what you can expect with it later on in the webinar.
I know we have a lot of people, and there are also people will be, going through this in a later part in a webinar. So just want to quickly do a, audience poll. There is a survey in your Zoom. Cassandra, if you could launch a quick poll on what you are doing right now, what level of access you are giving to the students, especially in the current situation. I know, Greg, in your library, it will be a lot of people, students visiting every day. That must be a new life right now. So maybe if you can, while the participants are filling the form, if you could share a little bit about what is new for you, Greg.
So one thing that's new for us, our library is open on our campus, and we're running our same open hours that we have in the past, but our foot traffic into the library is down it's about a third of what we normally expect. So we have less traffic into the library. We did implement some new people counter systems in our library to better track the current occupancy of the library, and we have that posted on our website. And so you can see at a glance how busy the library is. We've disabled a bunch of our public computers and spaced them out, so there's fewer public computers available. Our equipment checkout program has sort of skyrocketed in its use, so a lot of students are checking out laptops and other pieces of equipment to use in the library and around campus. And but overall, it seems like it's going okay. Not a lot of concerns or complaints from our patrons. They're following the social distancing and safety rules pretty well. So, so far, so good.
Awesome. Thank you. So, I look forward to get a little bit more insights once Cassandra consolidate that. Overall, right, this is something we did a lot of surveys the recent times, also consolidating from details from the major ones like the ALA and most of those, right? So a lot of colleges, obviously, like, somewhat operating online and offering online or in a hybrid model. And obviously there are a lot of in-person, as Greg mentioned. So overall, there is a remote or online becoming, new norm. So, libraries are, across the board. Yeah, I see that results right now. I'll share it in a minute. So overall, right, while everything is becoming online, from schools to colleges and everything, and what we will discuss during today's webinar is how academic libraries are adapting to that, I think everyone has a website in the library, and it's connected to whatever your ILS system is, Libris, whichever. Everybody has that catalog, and students were using that, or students were able to happily get into the library, were able to go search the books in several different libraries, and they were able to spend time. We do have a couple of students in our team, and also we spoke to a lot of library students. One thing they miss is more than online, they can get read and all that, but one thing they miss is that spending time in the library. That must be a big change for them. Right? So how are we, uh, technology, as a technology leaders, how can we help in that scenario? That's kind of what we will be talking today. While this overall, this online learning and the remote resources is becoming bigger and bigger, is our current website. Whichever way the website is, whether you have one common website or multiple different websites. So I have seen some universities where like multiple websites are there. So it depends on, is a website is enough, right? So while we did a recent survey with students, so 41% of the students said going through the website was challenging. This one we did, one of the leading university. So we asked the student to launch their library. So they took their mobile, went to the corporate website, the university website, and scrolled to the bottom and clicked the library link, and it opened another website and did a search. So we counted approximately 10 clicks, 10 clicks to get to the catalog search. So that was definitely challenging. I would be surprised, like why maybe more than 40% is feeling it challenging. But and then we spoke to some librarians that, oh, our catalog is, our website is mobile friendly. Mobile friendly is not an interactive mobile app, because mobile friendly is not sending me reminder on when my book is due. Mobile friendly is not friendly as it's not telling me when my books are ready. Mobile friendly is not alerting me, or mobile friendly is not integrated with my calendar and all the other stuff. So mobile app is a lot more interactive than a website, right? So one thing we kind of concluded from there is a good mobile app is needed, but we wanted to understand from you all, currently, are you using a mobile app? Um, a website available in mobile is different from mobile app. Do you have a mobile app? If we could get a quick yes or no, that would be helpful. So Greg, maybe your view, I know, it's been like a year or two, I have seen, overall Iowa State is leading in a lot of technology initiative. So what's your view? What are you hearing from your students?
So we have done a lot of usability testing with our website. And although our website is responsive to mobile devices, it's hard to develop a website sometimes to serve all purposes. So I think our interest in Libro was really from the smart assistant point of view. The smart assistant capability of Libro added some new functionality that we didn't have previously in our website or in any of our other applications. And we've got other access to other applications in our library. Some of them have mobile interfaces, but none of them really, some even have voice recognition, but not in a smart way. So it was the smart assistant capabilities of Libro that we thought had brought something new to the table.
Got it. So thank you for the survey results. I see that 90% of them are telling don't have a mobile app. That's a little bit higher than what we saw. Based on some of our research, we concluded like almost 70% of the academic libraries, maybe we were including a bit longer. So 70% of the academic libraries do not have a mobile app. But in this particular forum, I think I'm hearing 90%. That's a little bit high end. But on the other hand, see what students are doing. An average a college student have 9 apps daily, almost 86% of the time on the phone. No surprise, I'm sure. Even my 10-year-old kid is all the time on the phone, so I'll not be surprised that. So most of them, they are on a phone and they are using a lot of apps, and also um, like thanks to the Siri and Alexa and Google Homes of that world, and also the audio books, it's becoming the knowledge is in all format. We used to be reading a lot of those hardcover books, and then we started reading some of those PDFs and Chromebooks, and now it's a lot more on the audio books. And 1 in 3 college students, we did a recent survey, 1 in 3 students is reading, listening the audio books. So that's another thing in addition to the mobile, right? Um, the other thing, what we, that was 68% of the students are using voice assistants, be it now Siri or all these. Now, initially, like 2017, 18, it was you have to have a device and an Alexa device. It used to be a big Alexa device. Now it's a small one. And now then the Google Home. And now when Android introduced, the voice capability, almost 62% of the Google searches are coming in voice, right? So a lot of people are just using voice, and I can just ask Siri anything I need very quickly in the phone. And then, as I think recently, even Apple is introducing a voice bot, right? So the voice is becoming big, but it's not just voice. Voice can just listen in, but how a voice assistant will understand who our student is, and what student is reading, or what the student may be interested in. That's kind of where AI is coming in, overall AI. So the artificial intelligence, how do, okay, now assume let's have from websites, we have a mobile app. From the mobile app, we make that mobile app to a voice assistant capable. Okay, what is voice assistant capable is not just understanding the voice and telling in voice, it's AI. AI is where, okay, you are reading this series, the new book is available, do you want to read? Can you recommend those kind of books? Or, facilitating, especially a search, for example. You are searching a particular book, can AI, relate and give a suggestion, do you want to read this book? Like those kind of recommended system. That's kind of where the AI driven library services are going. It's still in the early stage, how AI, the technology leaders are looking for options on how to leverage AI in different industries. We, as from a myLIBRO team, we are really looking for how we can bring AI into the libraries as well. Um, Looking forward to in that journey. So in that context, what we are really looking for is, this is another last stat. I know I've been sharing a lot of numbers. This is one of the stat. 85% of the college students, they felt, or they were sharing, this is also college students, and we also interviewed a lot of people on their first job, they are in the first job, that the technology which they used in their college was greatly helped in their first job. And be it, Excel, be it website, be it some creative stuff, and be it mobile, that really helped. And so that is where this Alexas or Siris or voice assistants of the world is coming. While we are, the enterprises are building a sales technology, which is where you can interact through voice, we want our students to be familiar with those technologies. So that's kind of, in a nutshell, a digital strategy for a library very quickly is get an interactive mobile app, bring a voice assistant, an AI enabled voice assistant, and then as much as possible provide digital solutions for all services like be it search, renew, and all the library services as quickly as possible without any limitation, wherever they are, whatever language they could speak, whichever way they can interact, can they, interact with the library. That's at a high level what we are looking at from the study what we have done, and from based on what we heard from many of you during this service. Um, so over to you, Greg. I wanted to go through a little bit more about your technology thing. Where Iowa State, or in your view, where the industry is going.
I think you're right, Ganesh, that libraries are in a good place to help test out the artificial intelligence,
Mhm.
especially as students would, embrace or use those. I also think, I know that in working with the Libro project, we've talked a lot also about privacy and trying to create the technology in a way that can make sure the information is secure and that that users have control over how that information is used. And that's been a big part of our development that we've worked with you on and with Libro as well. So it's been interesting to watch that evolve as we've gone through different versions of the software.
Got it. So, I'm sure, everybody listening in, you will have questions. So there is a chat option within Zoom. So feel free to post your questions. So we have Mike Rossetti, who's part of our myLIBRO team. He has been working with Greg and many of the leaders in the library space. So he'll be able to clarify while we are discussing. And then in the end of this one, we'll also take few of your questions we can directly answer as well. But in the meantime, feel free to post your questions. This is some of the discussion topics, Greg, at a high level, right? I think you kind of started answering. If we kind of put it a little bit number-wise, how many students were visiting your library, like say before March? And then what's that now from a number perspective?
Yeah, so probably our maximum occupancy in the library that we're used to, the average number of people in the library at any given time. In our library, so our campus, we support about 35,000 students. And so in the library, we'll have over 10,000 students in a typical year come through the library every single day. And at any given time, there'd be probably 1,500 students or more sitting in the library using it. Now with the COVID situation here in October, if I went to the library right now, we probably would have somewhere between 600 to 700 students in the library today.
So are you limiting, how many students can come in a particular time, or they are able to manage it?
In our emergency planning, we probably had a number in there saying that if the library got to a certain place, that we would probably have to do something about limiting access. But that that number was maybe like 2,000 students, and so far our highest watermark this fall semester has been under 800. So we haven't got to a point where we felt pushed from a safety perspective to have to restrict access to our library.
So do you see students are being cautious not to, getting exposed to this, or they are getting the materials what they need? So are they missing anything by not coming?
Well, I think in our library, what we've seen over the last couple of years is that we've seen a lot more use of the library for students working in teams. That seems to be an emerging trend in academic spaces, is students work in groups and teams working on team projects. And I'm imagining that now that a lot of instruction this year is virtual, maybe they're doing their teamwork in Zoom or some other virtual meeting tool, and they don't do a face-to-face visit. So the use of our study rooms and the use of our collaboration spaces is probably down quite a bit in our library. Individual study is probably still going on, but a lot less group study going on in the library right now.
So are there any services which now the students need to reserve, and do you have some kind of a scheduling tool for that?
We do. I don't think we've gone yet to hook that up to Libro yet, but we do have a scheduling tool in our library that allows students to schedule study rooms, and yeah, so we have that available.
Okay, so I think some technology is needed to kind of manage, give that confidence to students, and also they are able to still use the services. Okay, so now, I'm just wondering, like, are there students who are all completely remote, or everybody is on campus right now?
So we have the option for students to take their instruction online or in a hybrid model.
Mhm.
There are some classes that are required, face-to-face type thing, but there's not a lot of those. So students have options here in the town of Ames, where Iowa State University is located. We think there's probably fewer students on campus or in the residence halls than we would normally expect. Students do have those options, and that might be a reason why some of the traffic in the library is down as well.
Got it. Got it. So for those remote students, are there any library needs, and how are they managing?
So we do currently we do provide a delivery service for any student or staff. So if they have a physical item that they would like to get from the library and they're not able to make it to campus to get it, we currently will mail those items to them.
Okay.
We're not doing a curbside thing at this point, but we do have the option for items to be delivered to people's homes if they need that service.
Got it. We do work with a number of community colleges. So there, obviously, there are so a lot of students who still want to access the library. And another interesting thing we saw, this was, I think in the last month or before, when we were having a webinar with the public library side, they were actually seeing increased number of students and accessing the library now because they are remote. They are not into the college, so they are not able to access that library. So now they are going to the public library. So the public libraries are offering curbside pickups now. So they are seeing. So typically, if you see, in public libraries, there is up to up to college, they see a big crowd because of a lot of reading in school related, and then they see a drop, and then it pick up, right? So it's especially on the age group. But COVID has changed that numbers a little bit. So a lot of college students are coming back to the public libraries and started using that. So what we have seen was public libraries and community colleges are providing the curbside. So myLIBRO, for example, we have at least 100 plus libraries offering curbside through myLIBRO, and that's something a very welcome change by many patrons in that world. I'm sure, like in the especially you can't match, like for a college student, knowledge and reading is everything. So not getting into the library, I'm sure it's so difficult. Yeah. So what are some of your security or safety measures? Like, it's not related to technology. I'm sure a lot of people are listening in. What are some of the security? How often are you quarantining your book, for example?
Yeah, so we have new policies and procedures in place to try to keep things sanitized and clean. And some of our stack areas are closed off, and only staff are allowed to go there to pick books from the shelf. So we do have some of those process changes going on in our library right now.
So in the public libraries, we saw they do a 3-day quarantine. So anybody return the book, so they keep the book for 3 days. So is that something normal in your thing? Do you quarantine the books?
Not that I'm aware of. I don't work in the access service area, so
Okay.
I'm not aware that we have a current quarantine for a book that gets returned.
Got it. We are working in the public library space as well as in the community college, especially every day when return, they can't immediately, check in. And so they keep it in a specific separate room for 3 days and keep it sanitized, and then, bring it back to the circulation. So that actually impacted the entire library process big time because, the availability of books. You need to manage that entire reservation. Otherwise, the moment the books turn in, it automatically is available for the next patron. So it's a lot of technology challenges libraries went through. I'm sure now, it's getting better. Now people are getting used to that 3 days delay. Got it. So, the last topic probably is, any delay in returning the books, fines. Have you relaxed some of those terms, like the students can keep the books for longer than before?
We we are usually pretty lenient when it comes to fees and fines for
Okay.
overdue books, and we have a pretty good process for letting people renew materials. And so it's nothing that's ever been on my radar screen in terms of it being a big problem for us, even in the non-COVID times. So, so right now that doesn't seem to be an issue for us in our library.
Got it. Got it. Yeah, I do see and response here. Overnight in an academic library, they are doing an overnight quarantine. So that's good. Some practices. Awesome. Yeah, in public libraries where we saw 3 days. Yeah, interesting. So that at a high level, from a summary perspective, where we started from a technology and, how quarantine, I am sure, another couple of months, hopefully we'll all be free of the mask with vaccine. But the digital and the need of voice and AI is going to be more and more. And as everybody says, the pandemic changed our behavior of consuming things, like from shopping to reading to traveling, the way we spend, how much, where we spend, where we spend time, all that changed. So I'm sure that the digital and the mobile and AI will, empower a lot of libraries. So, right, we'll kind of do a quick poll. This is probably the last one. Cassandra, you like to launch one more, if you have. This is just a quick poll on, again, we will share these details with all of you back, what your library is doing right now. Greg is able to manage 800 students coming in out of almost 8,000, 10,000. There is a process. So what are your library doing very quickly? 27% of libraries are offering contactless library services, pickup, self-checkout. So that's interesting. And 55% increase the mobility, an app or an improved interface. So that's awesome. 55%, that's already more than half is improving, and 18% is on the AI-driven technologies. Awesome, great results. We will put this in the deck, and you will have these details. And then many other libraries in the next webinars will get to see that as well. Over to you.
So yeah, I'm just going to talk a little bit about what we offer at myLIBRO for you guys. And this is constantly changing. Greg talked a little bit about just how much feedback we're getting from him and our other customers, really integrating that into what we're offering. So we started with voice AI-driven mobile solutions. Because of the current situation, that has moved a lot into the space of reservations and pickups, but all with that mobility and just really having that flexibility for your student body in mind. So when we're talking about what our libraries have needed in this time, both in the academic space and in the public library space, just being able to, on the fly, interact with that ILS, put holds on, and then of course with contactless pickup, with self-checkout, and as the libraries have opened up to be able to allow some of that in library service again, getting those visits back in, those computer labs. Greg mentioned that he had to reduce the number of computers for spacing issues, which for some of our libraries has put a little bit more of a strain than they're used to on how many students are planning on using the computers at once. And just a summary, we can integrate with your ILS, so we're getting that live catalog, search that catalog, and we'll jump into the app live in just a minute here, but you're able to manage your account. So if there are things like fines, or the student just wants to check what they have out right now, what they have on hold, what's ready to go, all of that can be done through the app. We do have the ability to connect with Overdrive on some of that audiobook functionality, receive notifications. So if there are closures that are not predicted, especially as we get into winter here and we start to get into weather delays, even just beyond obviously all the changes that you guys have been making over the summer. And then of course that Alexa skill. So I'd like to just quickly pop over to my Echo and show you how that works. Alexa, start Libro.
Hello Aditya, welcome to Libro. You can now search for items to borrow, renew materials you've checked out, get library hours, and more. Here is your today's update. You have one fine with total fine amount of $10.25. You have 2 items on hold. 1 or more items are ready for your pickup. Visit the library. You can ask questions like, can you search a book? Can you cancel an item or list all my items on hold? What do you want to explore today?
Can you list my items on hold?
You have 2 items on hold.
Virginia, you might turn up your volume just a bit on your
Okay.
Echo.
Thanks.
Global Flavors, a modern vegetarian cookbook by Hart. Alice, this item is first in queue, and pick up at Bellevue. 2. 7 Lies by Kay. Elizabeth, this item is 5th in queue, and pick up at Black Diamond. What else can I do for you?
So you can see kind of how that does work. Sorry if the volume was too low at the beginning, but basically gives the fine amount and what's available for pickup up front, and you can search the catalog with it, get those library hours and things like that. And in terms of the design of it, we're really looking to meet students and young people who are used to these mobile apps where they're at. So the flow is very typical for them. You can see the graphical interface that we have. Everything is available through text and voice search. Really just able to interact with people how they need to. So you'll see that this pops up for me right away with the fact that there's holds available for pickup. So that makes it easy for the patron to see, you know, what they have going on. You can go right into the schedule from here. I'm going to skip this now because I'm going to start with the search. Search by keyword, title, author, any kind of subject material. So especially with students, if they need to try to research one thing, they have all these options from your ILS. I'm going to search by author. By text. I can put that on hold right from here to get that delivered. If there are other options that you have in your catalog, like ebooks and audiobooks, it's going to give you all those different options as well. And then in my account, they're able to do a lot of stuff we were doing on Alexa. So you can list items on hold, you can list items for pickup, and you know, just list the hours for the library, especially, you know, if students aren't sure, they can just check from here from their mobile. So I'm going to go ahead and use voice this time, but you can use text as well. Is the library open? And this will read that out to you as well. I don't have my sound turned on at the moment, but you can choose to have it read out, or you can choose to just have it in text here. The other thing that we've introduced recently, because some of our customers really needed it, is the ability to switch between cards. So Ganesh was saying earlier how, you know, some of the students at the community colleges have maybe gotten used to using their public library because of certain closures. This ability to switch between potentially their public library card and their school library card, or maybe a neighboring school that you have a relationship with, whatever it is, just a really easy switch here. So I'm switched into this different organization now, and I'm going to go in and just schedule a pickup. can put any notes for the pickup. You know, they'll have the books that are available, but if there's anything else they want to pick up, equipment or anything else they need, you can see the additional pickup option there as well. And once it's the time to do it, whether that's for a computer scheduling, which is in the schedule appointment option, or anything else, they can say that they're here. You can require arrival notes. So they can say I'm at the door, or I'm in the parking lot in this car, whatever it is. And then, you know, they're able to say that they've received it with a rating and any feedback. So I just want to spend a minute in the staff portal to show what that would look like for you. You can see the queue here for things like library visits, computer time, so you can see what's going on there. It automatically refreshes, so you'll be able to tell when people are coming into the library. The notes here help your staff perhaps communicate with each other. We know that staffing looks a little bit different now as well for a lot of people, so getting that communication through here so that if you can't have multiple staff members on at a time, they can still figure out where they're at with holds or appointments or anything else during that. And then if I go into the pickup queue as well, similar process, and you'll be able to see the one like who's coming in, what they have extra, their patron ID with, of course, that barcode. And this is something that we'll have for them in the app as well. Their library card number, student ID, whatever it is you use to identify that student, they'll have that automatic, able to be scanned from here, able to be scanned from the app, just to remove that physical card from the equation here. And you have full abilities to control what people are able to reserve, when they're able to reserve it. That configuration, of course, will help you out. But if you want to add something, if you need to pull back because of changing regulations, that is all up to you as well. So if I go into computer pickup, we'll see all the options we have here, how far in advance they can reserve that computer time with this buffer zone, how long of an appointment, how many you have, which again can be changed at any time, how often, what your maximum capacity is, and any instructions you have. So if there needs to be some sort of check, I know a lot of the schools, at least from what I've heard, have a questionnaire that the students have to fill out daily saying if they have any symptoms or anything like that. If that's something that your school requires before being on campus, you can instruct them on that. You can instruct them that masks are a requirement, anything like that. You're able to notify them of on those instruction screens, like that pickup flow that I had. And your windows. So if you would, if there are times that people are coming in more often and you want to have some control over that, you're definitely able to do that with these windows. If you want a morning and an afternoon, give your staff time to clean up in between, anything like that, that's able to be customized by you.
High level, right? It's a mobile app which you showed, and then a voice enabled you showed. I think the one thing maybe we didn't go through, obviously we don't have that much time, is based on the students, basically recommend what what action they can do. I think you got a prompt as soon as you logged in on, you have a books ready, so you can put do a pickup. It will do the reminder for if the books are overdue or upcoming due, it will remind that. Especially those kind of proactiveness in the app. That's where that AI is coming. The personalization is coming based on what way they are doing. Some libraries are open and want to analyze the pattern, the what kind of series of books reading. For example, a particular age group, what books are reading, so we can recommend. Or some libraries are kind of a generic, more like recommended by the librarian's recommendation, new series of the books. So either a list which is recommended by the librarian, or it can be driven from the behavior or the pattern in which they are reading. So that's where the AI is really coming in. So that's kind of mobile, voice, and AI all together, and then scheduling in a bit. So maybe one thing, a lot of data, right? So maybe if you want to talk about a little bit about how librarians, leaders can measure how the students are engaging, if some metric.
Absolutely. So
That's where you're going. Okay, good.
yeah, that was like actually like the next slide.
Oh.
So we saw through that, and then of course, and it actually is a great piggyback off what I was just talking about, which is, setting those time periods. So if you start to see trends here in the dashboard that we give you with that intelligence into how our services are being used by your patrons now, you can maybe customize. If you can only do 3 days a week, we can tell you what days are going to be the most valuable and what have been the most popular for appointments for pickup, for appointments for computer usage, whatever it is. We can give you that kind of data. So you can see just a screenshot here of a library, just how many we get in that midweek period. How much you're still getting walk up and you're still getting staff scheduled, because you're able to, of course, put appointments in on your own as well, versus patron scheduled. So we have a lot of data that you're able to use to make the case for whatever changes you may need. We know that things are changing, so we want to give you what you need to be empowered to make those changes with the students in mind and how they're using it in mind.
So we'll turn it over for any questions if you have. You can feel free to unmute and you can ask your questions. And before that, Greg, anything from your side, anything you like to share?
No, thanks a lot for the demonstration, Virginia. Nice job. So I don't have anything else right now, Ganesh.
Oh, thank you, Greg. Thank you for sharing. For all the participants, and do you have any questions? There are a couple of ways. One, you can put it in the chat, of course, or you can unmute yourself and ask the question, or we'll hang in here. You can stay and ask. Also, there are some contacts. You can go to our myLIBRO.com. There is a small chat bot where you can fill in, or there's a form you can fill in. So you can contact Virginia or Mike, any of us will be available to clarify any questions.
There's a question that looks like it was sent to me directly, so I'm just going to address that now. The question is myLIBRO an ILS, or is it a peripheral service to provide easy access to the ILS? So yeah, it would connect to the existing ILS that you have. We're not an independent ILS, but we do make that seamless connection so that your students can access that through our app, but it's still separate from your current ILS. So it just uses that connection.
Yeah, we have connected, like more than 15 ILS, and Ex-Libris is one of them in the academic space, but every major ILS we have connected and we have customers using that. And there's one more question. Is the app free to download for students? Yes, the app is completely free to download for students. So we work with the colleges and the universities. And so once you subscribe and we put together, connect, integrate, and then it will be secured. So for academic libraries, in terms of security is very important. So like similar to any other application, so they do what we call SAML or OAuth kind of an integration. So they tend to use their own user ID password. We want to validate, and then everything will work for them. Yeah, but for students, it's completely free. So what about third-party applications, Hoopla, Digital? Yes, we do integrate with ILS, events calendars, various events calendars, the digital books like Hoopla, and audio books like Overdrive or Cloud Factory, that as well. So we have any software you're using, potentially providing an API connection so we can hook into that. Ideally, it's like what we call like it's one app. You may have multiple software for scheduling, for reservations and events and all that. myLIBRO can be your one app, with a customized mobile app for you to use.
Ganesh, this is Greg. Hey, just one thing that came to mind. I know that we've worked a lot on the ability for the Libro app to work independently of Amazon Alexa or work in conjunction with Amazon Alexa. And that's been a big deal for our library in terms of some people wanted that control. Some people didn't want their information shared with Alexa, but others like the advanced functionality that that connection makes. So for us, it was good to have the option to be able to go either way.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think you don't need to use the mobile app if you want full voice. Yeah, that's a great point. There's one more question. It's a minor priority, but what about color, branding, customization, school logos? Yes, absolutely, it's possible. There is a branding option as part of the onboarding we go through. We ask your logo and all the colors can be modified. So there's a settings. I think we didn't go through the complete portal. In that portal, there was a setting screen where you can call all the details. In fact, the scheduling and everything, even including the labels, what notes to be displayed, and everything is customized as well. So customization is something we have done a lot. I know, because it's like one library to other library, the requirement's not same. Like they one want to see 4 steps process, the other want to see 2-step process. You can customize a lot.
Yeah, and one of the things I think is great is that because you have control in the portal of if scheduled visit is active, if scheduled pickup is active, you don't have to, you can just gray it out and not confuse your patrons if that's not something you're offering at the time, but when you're ready, it turns right back on. So.
Great. So thank you all for joining this event. Hope you have enjoyed and got some details, and we are so glad because you also gave us some insights on what you are working on, where you have mobile app or not. So that information is valid, and it'll be really helpful for us also. So thank you for your time, and look for our email. So this is a recorded webinar, so we'll be sharing that with you, and we'll follow up for any questions. So feel free to reach out for any questions, and have a nice rest of the day. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.